Good afternoon, or well, good evening, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here, or known as Weatherforce now. I have changed my YouTube name. If you guys like it, please let me know in the chat if I should keep it or if I should just revert it back to the David Schlotthauer name. But in tonight's severe weather briefing, we have a severe weather event, possibly an outbreak of severe weather across the high plains on Monday into Tuesday, from northern Texas into Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, into southwestern Kansas, including for maybe even now portions of southernmost Nebraska. And so in this live stream, we will be breaking down all those details because we're more than likely going to go live on this event on Monday, and probably will do something on Tuesday afternoon as well, since this is going to be a pretty widespread event. But I also wanted to talk about tomorrow's risk of severe weather first before we actually get into the bigger part of this. So let's actually go and take a look here at our regional models, and let's take a look at the HRRR model. Okay, so we're going to go and look at that. We're going to go to simulated reflectivity. So let's actually go all the way down here. And we can see that tomorrow morning we got some showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two that does develop along this boundary. And then that boundary kind of stalls, and then a reinforcement takes place by the afternoon hours. Actually, this is a 0Z. We want to use the latest run. And we can see storms here do look to develop all the way across the northeastern or northwestern portion there of Pennsylvania, north central Pennsylvania, and then stretching across the rest of southern New York. And this is that boundary. We might need to go live on this because of the severity of this event that unfolds. This would be 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we might have to schedule a live stream on this tomorrow, since it's an enhanced risk of severe weather stretching across the Northeast. And look at this. This develops further into an organized line of severe thunderstorms. We can even see some mesocyclones embedded within this. We got a little bit of one right here. We have another one right here. And we might have another one along this boundary as this moves further south. And then that kind of gets destroyed. And so it's a very, very limited area, only lasting a few hours of severe weather down across this area into Pennsylvania. And that is why the Storm Prediction Center here has issued a enhanced risk of severe weather. And we can see that here. This orange indicates a level 3 out of 5 on the severe weather index scale, with a slight risk surrounding that into western or into eastern portion there of Ohio and southwestern New York into northern New Jersey. This is driven by only a 5% chance of tornadoes. So again, some mesocyclones we showed you there could be capable of producing a tornado or two tomorrow along that boundary. But mainly it's going to be a wind-driven enhanced risk threat for this. And that's the red area that you see here. And that's a 30% chance of damaging winds exceeding 65 to 75 miles an hour. And the hail threat tomorrow is at a 15% risk for central and western Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania as well. We have that 15%. Okay, so again, that's going to be the primary threat with that tomorrow. And rain amounts do not look to be overly impressive with that. In fact, if we look at our rainfall amounts with those storms, let's kind of forward this in, anywhere between maybe 1/4 of an inch to maybe about 1/2 an inch for the most part, with one area here that could get up to maybe about 1 inch of rainfall as this band slides further south. But even New York may not be getting a whole lot of rain out of this, since those storms will probably be disintegrating once the sun sets. The heating is lost and the boundary gets more diffused. We're probably not going to see a whole lot in the way of severe weather with southern extent. And the instability is not particularly strong, so maybe a tornado or two that doesn't look to be particularly strong out of this for tomorrow. All right, so now we do have to look at our latest severe weather forecast as far as the NAM Nest model goes, because this is for now the high plains on Monday. A lot of you clicked onto this live stream, so you all to hear the latest on what my thoughts are of the severe weather risk. So as we go forward in time, of course, we have this trough that is going to be over the western U.S. This is going to get into the Four Corners by tomorrow or by Monday afternoon. So you can see where the trough is here. You can see a jet streak emanating out of that into, say, New Mexico, and then eventually into western Texas, with winds in the mid-levels and upper levels at around about 60 to 70 knots or so. And then by the afternoon hours, this goes only out to 50 hours. So I think this is almost done rendering. We can see where that trough is going to be. And this is where we do have the best chances for severe weather in western Oklahoma into northwestern Texas, as well as along the high plains range here, where we have some storms that do develop. You can see even how the wind gets disrupted in the mid-levels, showing you just how strong these thunderstorms could actually end up being. And then here is your warm front that is draped across the upper Midwest and the northern plains. So let's take a look now at why this is going to be such a big severe weather outbreak, okay? As we go forward in time, we can see, of course, dew points are already advecting northward, and then we're going to still see those dew points in the 60s pretty far north here now. We're talking mid-60s right behind this warm front as it gets draped across the Ohio Valley, central Indiana, central Illinois, as well as the southwestern portion there of Iowa, as well as into northeastern Nebraska, where we do have that warm front. And then here is your dry line over western Texas, where we do have dew points in the 20s. So we got some drier air. And then out ahead of this, we do have dew points that are in the mid to upper 60s. So definitely a lot of moisture out there, a lot of instability to work with. And that is why I think we're going to have some severe weather concerns mainly for Monday night into Tuesday. Monday afternoon does not look to be that big of a deal as what we first thought, since this is really not going to get going until the overnight hours. Maybe late afternoon into the evening hours at most, maybe the overnight hours. And some portions of this dry line could bulge as well, and that's going to be the situation where we'll have to keep an eye on some supercells that do develop. Here's a dry line bulge here. Here's another one right over here. And each of these bulges could contain a few supercells that do develop. Now, when looking at the actual air temperature forecast, this is how what it's shaping up to be. Temperatures early on in during the day, possibly some 90-degree temperatures. Yeah, it's going to be very warm to hot. We got even 98-degree temperatures on the NAM for southwestern Texas, okay? Fort Stockton, really going to be hot on Monday because of where that drier air is going to be. And then here comes the dry line, going to be moving its way further south and east, mainly to the east. All right, so that's what we're dealing with. Let's look at relative humidity, because relative humidity is another way to look at what the air mass is going, how much moisture there is truly going to be out of this. I forgot to switch the scenes there. So you can see early on in the period, or early on in the day on Monday, humidity values down to 4%, maybe as low as 2% in western Texas, versus you have 70, 80, and possibly almost 90% humidity along that moist air mass. So very saturated. Some portions of this could actually be fully saturated. 100% humidity. So it's going to be very humid, very muggy, not a time where you want to be outside because it's just going to be too moist. And that really lends the confidence that we're going to have a lot of instability to work with, especially along that dry line where I think we're going to have the best chances. In fact, when we do take a look at our mixed layer CAPE forecast, we can see the instability that really sets up Monday afternoon, anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram of surface base mixed layer CAPE. You look at the surface base CAPE, it's probably going to be higher because it uses surface base parcels. And yeah, you can see right along that dry line where we can have the maximized amount of instability exceeding 3,000 joules per kilogram. And that is very unstable indeed when you remove the cap. And that's what we're going to see. Most likely, we're going to have a lot of supercells that do develop along that dry line by the evening hours of Monday. And here's another look at it again. Your supercell composite parameters here, anywhere between 20 to as high as maybe 30, especially up here in, say, portions there of Nebraska, where we might have an isolated supercell. But down here is where we're going to really have to watch for more intense discrete supercells. Then maybe later on in the evening hours, we have a supercell composite parameter here of 31, which is very high. Now, another parameter that we like to use is the significant tornado parameter. So if we play this through, this is a 0Z NAM model. And yeah, by the afternoon and evening hours, we're all the way up to about, let's go over here, up to a 7 within this corridor, even up to an 8. And when we click on that, you can see curved photographs, possible PDS tornadoes out of this. And when you remove the cap, we have a lot of instability, a lot of directional and speed shear. And that is what's going to lead confidence to that severe weather risk that does develop. All right, so you can see here, Western Oklahoma, very high parameters for Monday, and that's why I think the SPC is probably going to launch out a moderate risk of severe weather in tonight's outlook, if not maybe by tomorrow evening's outlook. Actually, tomorrow afternoon's outlook, when they do another day 2 outlook, we'll probably need to update this because the significant tornado perimeters are really high out there. So I don't know if Pat's Path Predictor is here. So if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the like button and share this. I hope you all like my new YouTube channel name. If you guys do, please vote in my community posts that I did release. I think Weather Force is a lot better than just the name David Schlotthauer, because a lot of people have a hard time pronouncing the last name. This Balzonkers, this is not going to be a high-risk event. I don't think so. It's going to be a moderate risk event. Most likely will be the most likely outcome, just because of the parameters, just not one of those high-risk events. And they don't like issuing a high-risk event unless it's absolutely necessary. But nevertheless, definitely a big severe weather day ahead on Monday along the high plains here within this dry line setup. You can see the dry line setting up here. And even your EHI index, your energy helicity index, how much energy there is when you have an updraft, that's the higher the numbers, the more energy you have into the atmosphere for these storms to use up. And that is why I think we're going to have a big risk here for a few long-tracked supercells that do move off of the dry line. In fact, if we do take a look at our reflectivity forecast, let's go over here into the high plains. Let's play this through, and we can see right in here where we do have, again, maybe clustering or some discrete supercell in nature. We have a supercell cluster down here in southwestern Oklahoma near the Red River Valley, and then of course in western Kansas, where we do have a cluster of storms that does try to show up. And again, these are going to will likely remain fairly discrete. We're not seeing much upscale growth, more upscale growth up here, but further south, where there's not as much substantial forcing, some of these storms will likely remain isolated in nature. And that is why the SPC that I'm about to show you here has included an enhanced risk of severe weather. Now the HRRR, let's see what that model shows. This is still a little on the far side, and it still is. So we don't have, we'll probably get that in tomorrow. But down here in western Texas, that looks more substantial. So let's play that through, and you can see right in here is where we do have the potential for some strong thunderstorms, because you can see reflectivity values here exceeding 60 decibels. So in western Texas, the HRRR shows that storms will initiate here, while the NAM model is saying something different. So there is some uncertainties, and I don't think they're going to go moderate in their day 2 outlook when they update that tonight, just because there's still some uncertainties in the forecast. But yeah, this is, again, the SPC Outlook. I wanted to show you all this right here. There is an enhanced risk of severe weather for northwesternish Texas, the eastern panhandle, as well as central and western Oklahoma and southern Kansas. That's where you have a level 3 severe weather risk. Excuse me here, just ate food. Southern Kansas, where you have an enhanced risk of severe weather. And then, of course, surrounding that, you have your slight risk. This is when we click on the SPC Day 3 probability outlook, there is a 30% SIG. So this is not just a low end kind of enhanced for Day 3. This is kind of on the higher end of the side with that 30 SIG. And then surrounding that, you have your 15 SIG. This will probably early on be generated by very large to giant hailstones, possibly exceeding 3 to 4 inches in diameter. And then eventually, probably downstream here, we could see an isolated strong tornado threat within this enhanced risk once we get into the evening, into the overnight hours, as that low-level jet ramps up. And speaking of low-level jet, let's go to the 850 millibar flow. This is at 5,000 feet above the surface. And this is what we have. Hold on. You can see that low-level jet right here really ramping up to 63 knots. So definitely strengthening low-level flow into the evening hours. And this is what's going to lend confidence to that increasing severe threat. Maybe even some damaging or isolated substantial wind damage where these storms do initialize. Like one right here, where we have really strong low-level flow here, over 60 knots, possibly even getting close to 70 knots within this environment. So that is really, really strong. And any storm that does develop in this environment will be capable of producing strong tornadoes, possibly very large to giant hailstones, and of course the wind damage later on. And you can see these wind gusts between 40 to 50 miles an hour. Non-thunderstorm winds by the overnight hours. Yeah, here it is right here. Possibly a little bit of a trail here of 58 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts, according to the NAM 3-kilometer model. Oh, okay. So that's what we have to monitor according to the latest high-res models, especially in the high plains here, where we have the best chances for a significant severe weather event, possibly an outbreak like I said at the beginning, but it doesn't mean we will have a severe weather outbreak, because that in itself, under this circumstance, might be a little tough to pin down, because we're still about 3 days out from the event, 2.5 to 3 days. Now, looking at the day 4 outlook, the slight risk of severe weather, they did not up their probabilities yet on this, and they're probably not going to do that until day 3. But still in all, there is a risk of severe weather from northeastern Texas into western Oklahoma, into Arkansas, northern Louisiana, into Missouri, Illinois, western Indiana, and central and southeastern Wisconsin, as well as southeastern half there of Iowa. Again, this could include the possibility of a tornado or two within this environment, since the line of storms will reinitialize along that boundary by late morning into the afternoon hours. So that's what we're dealing with, and once again, this is looking pretty substantial. First off, tomorrow's risk, depending on how I'm feeling, I do have a bad stomach ache today, so if that's not gone tomorrow, I probably won't stream on this enhanced risk in the Northeast, but hopefully that's gone by Monday, and I'll be able to do some live streaming on Monday since I have nothing going on, okay? But in the meantime, if you're in the risk here, especially in this enhanced risk, you definitely need to take this into consideration. We could see some scattered and numerous severe thunderstorms along that line, capable of producing a tornado. Some large hail and damaging wind gusts will be the main factor. Does anyone have any questions? Pat should be here soon. Day 2 is out. Okay, Weather Republic, that is. So we'll have to go and take a look at that. Let's take a look really quickly. So apparently the day 2 outlook is out. And this is from Weather Republic. So hold on a second. Let's see what he's thinking right now. Yeah, so Weather Republic has lowered the probabilities of severe weather. It was a moderate, which I had a lot of doubts on. I was not thinking it should not have been deserved at day 3, so now we have a lower probability, which is good. But still in all, a severe weather event looks to set up over Kansas. Now again, this is not an official SPC Outlook. This is made from Weather Republic, so I want to make that clear with you all here. This is not an official SPC Outlook, and I should not really be sharing this on my stream, to be quite honest. It could be misleading, but I wanted to show you that he did lower his probabilities, which I'm glad he did, because I'm not really going moderate, at least at the given time frame. Moderate or not, though, this is looking like a severe weather event nevertheless. No, Weather Dude 3, it is not official. This is official, though, from the SPC Storm Prediction Center up here. There's your enhanced risk. And then, of course, tomorrow or on Monday, that's what it's looking like over Oklahoma and northern Texas. Brady G, do you think there will be more severe weather later in the week with the cold storm hitting the west midweek? Hitting the west midweek. I don't know what you're referring to on that. What do you mean by west? Because storm is hitting us right now, and that's hitting the west. Maybe another storm you're probably referring to? Let's take a look at the NAM, or at the European model. So there's your trough hitting California right now. And then that moves into the Midwest or High Plains on Monday into Tuesday, and then moves into the Great Lakes on Wednesday. And then I don't see any more big storms after that. So I don't know where you're getting that from. But Wednesday could introduce a 15% risk for severe weather, especially for the Ohio Valley. Maybe we'll see what the SPC wants to do. Will Warsaw have severe storms? Warsaw, which state is that in? So it's supposed to be in the low 40s in Idaho midweek. Boy, mid 40s. Yeah, there's some colder air that will be filtering in by the middle to the end of the week. So yes, spring winterish is not done with you all yet. Oh, Poland. Probably referring to this location. So I do not cover the UK or Germany at all. So I don't know what the weather is going to be like for that area. I can check really quickly. So the midweek you were saying. So that area you might get some interesting weather. Again, I don't cover that area, so I would not even begin to think to know on what it's going to look like for your area. You know who would know is what is it? There's a guy, Weather Center. Weather Center would know. He's a YouTuber with like 35,000 subs, so you could ask him. What's up, Sharon? Central Oklahoma for Monday night. Are we having to go to shelter in the middle of the night? And WS is predicting sometime before 5 a.m. Tuesday. Warsaw, Missouri. So, let me get to this question really quickly. So there is a potential, there's definitely a likelihood that there will be severe weather over Oklahoma in the middle of the night, especially after about 10 or 11 o'clock Central Daylight Time into Tuesday morning for Central Oklahoma, stretching into southwestern Missouri by Tuesday morning. As the cold air goes east and meets the hot, humid air, could there be some bad storms? Brady, most likely not, because that colder air will be relatively dry. So any questions? Any questions? Boy, my stomach is pretty upset tonight. So I'm gonna make this a quick one. I've had this all day today. Hopefully I don't have the flu. It is 40 degrees here today, and yesterday was like 75 degrees, and the day before was like 85. Crazy weather, I'll tell you that right now. I hope I do feel better tomorrow because there's an enhanced risk for New York and there's an enhanced risk for Monday. Is the Cape okay? Weather Dude 3, is the Cape the only driving factor that could support downdrafts or downtrends? Not necessarily weather, dude. There is good confidence that there's gonna be a lot of instability. Even so, there is 1 to 2,000 joules of Cape. This is gonna be significant. Still thinking about very large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of strong tornadoes potentially. What are the dew points going to be Monday, Tuesday night? So let's go to that. Let's go to the NAM. So by Monday night into Tuesday morning, dew points largely across the Midwest and the Deep South will be in the mid to upper 60s, maybe even some low 70s down here along Corpus Christi as well as Houston, Texas. Really humid, boy. I'm telling you right now, not going to feel too comfortable out there at all with all that moisture surging northward. Yeah, Sharon, I'm just not. I don't know what happened this morning. I woke up and shortly after I woke up, I had my stomach ache just has not wanted to go away. And right now it is pretty, it's not super painful, but it's definitely there. And I just don't feel well. I really don't. But I wanted to get this out there for you all because I did not do a severe weather video today. Just, there was a lot going on with my stomach, but luckily I'm able to do something like this today. Cheesy weather. Give me a location, not a zip code. Thank you. Mindy Weeks, thanks for going live, David. Every though you are sick. Yep, of course, Mindy. I might have a stomach flu, and if I do, that I've not had a flu for over 15 years, so that concerns me. And I had the flu shot this winter. Clearly states that the flu shot doesn't work for everyone. But yeah, I'm probably gonna end it. Oh man, my stomach. Yeah. You guys, I'm not gonna if you guys have any questions, last call on questions. I'm just not feeling really well at all. I don't like complaining about it, but ugh, my stomach. I've been resting a lot today and still hasn't gone away. So Bel Air, Maryland, cheesy weather is not going to see anything significant as far as severe weather. Maybe the northernmost portion you might get you're getting a little bit of a marginal risk, but nothing substantial. Nothing substantial. Mindy Weeks, I don't have any diarrhea or anything. My stomach is upset. It's just, I'm just not feeling well. I'm just, I hope I feel better tomorrow, though. You must have caught it in Texas. Well, when I got home, I was fine until this morning. And I got home on Wednesday. Thank you, Sharon. So, any questions? Last call, going once, going twice. Oh, I'm gonna throw up. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna actually have to go. I am about to vomit, so I don't want to do that on stream. But anyways, have a great one, and I will hopefully see you guys back here tomorrow if I am feeling better. All right?